Hello everyone, welcome to Zoom in China Chat. I'm Simone Gao. 150 Chinese fighter jets entered the southwest airspace recognition zone of Taiwan during the national holiday of China 2 weeks ago, the most in the past 40 years. Taiwan's defense minister said this is the most dangerous time for Taiwan. Would Xi Jinping really decide to invade Taiwan? Are the Taiwanese military and the U.S. military prepared for such a scenario? I had these discussions with James Fanell, former senior intelligence officer for China at the Office of Naval Intelligence and the chief of intelligence for CTF-70, 7th Fleet, and the U.S. Pacific Fleet. Take a listen. Thank you, James, for joining Zoom in China today.
Well, thank you for the invitation, Simone.
Okay, let's talk about the possible war on the Taiwan Strait. First of all, the Taiwan defense minister recently said the People's Liberation Army already has the capability to attack Taiwan right now, but they have to consider the cost. By 2025, their cost of invading Taiwan will drop to the lowest. What do you make of it? Can you explain what he meant exactly?
Well, I think that the defense minister was specifically referring to what I've characterized as the decade of concern, which is based upon the facts that Hu Jintao and Xi Jinping had ordered the PLA to be ready to have the capability to militarily invade Taiwan starting as early as 2020. And I think at that point in 2020, Xi had assessed that they have a modicum of a capability to conduct an invasion, but they would like to be able to continue their modernization efforts as well as their comprehensive national power to use political warfare, information warfare, economic warfare to continue to try to wear down the people of Taiwan and the leadership of the current administration to capitulate, essentially. And so I think part of the calculus also is the strength of the United States resolve and where their capabilities will be. And so I think somewhere around mid-century or mid-decade, what I call the decade of concern, because we all pretty much, not all, but I believe that by 2030, China will have to make a decision whether or not to use military force or not. And so I think around 2025 will be a decision time for the leadership of the Chinese Communist Party and the PLA. And I think they'll be looking for, as you know, there will be an election in November of 2024 for president. And if for some reason Trump or somebody like Trump were to come back into power, Beijing would know then that they would have, basically no time in response, because of a new administration would take much presumably greater actions to confront China than maybe we see right now.
Right. Although 2024 is already very near, very close to now, but people are even worried about right now, even before the 20th Party Congress, which is going to happen in 2022. So you think right now what's the possibility of having a war right now before 2022?
It's very difficult to precisely determine when the PLA and the PRC would launch an invasion. And my personal assessment is it's unlikely that Beijing would want to launch an invasion before their hosting of the Olympic Games in 2022 and before the Party Congress, as you mentioned, later in the fall of 2022. That said, it is still entirely possible that Xi and the party could make the determination that now was the best time. As we know, in America in 2022, we will have midterm elections. And if a strong showing from a party like the Republicans, it's possible that there could be more emphasis put on pressuring the Biden administration to take much more strong, overt responses to Chinese action. So again, these are timelines that are very difficult to determine. But my sense is that they're going to want to continue to at least enjoy the presence of the world's attention for the Olympics, even though they've now said they're not going to have spectators. So this announcement this last week that Beijing will not have spectators at the Olympics was a little bit of an interesting twist for me, because it could mean that China possibly is preparing for something even before or during the Beijing Olympics. I don't think it's likely, but it's entirely possible. And what we're seeing from the PLA in terms of operational readiness training with these high amount of exercises this summer and fall, and the air incursions that we've seen over the PRC's 1 October Day celebrations, those were very dramatic. But I remind folks, those were just the tip of an iceberg in terms of the total capacity of the PLA Air Force and PLA Navy.
Right. Right. I just want to go back to the Taiwan defense minister a little bit. So he said right now the PLA already has the initial capability to attack Taiwan. What does that mean exactly? Does that mean that the PLA has the ability to attack Taiwan and the ability to fend off U.S. aid? What does that mean exactly?
Well, I think we know that the PLA has a strategy for conducting an invasion of Taiwan, and it's composed of various elements. Clearly, they will be using their new strategic support force to conduct cyber type of actions, offensive actions, to shut down critical infrastructure in Taiwan, even to shut down or disrupt networks and infrastructures in Japan where American bases are, and even in the United States, to cause confusion and create delays in the ability of the U.S. military and other militaries to get into the theater. So that would be the first thing that they would do. And then the Chinese writings talk about a joint fire strike campaign, which is essentially launching the missiles of the strategic rocket force, the ballistic missiles that they have, launching them at key targets in Taiwan, at naval ports, at airfields, at garrison locations of the Taiwan Army, at supply centers, at critical choke points, at rail or at transportation hubs and things of this nature. So that those missiles would be flying into Taiwan in the midst of a cyber attack. And then once that is accomplished, almost simultaneously, but after the missiles are flown, the PLA air forces would then establish what they call a joint air superiority over the island. And so you would have the joint fire strike campaign, a joint anti-air raid campaign, which is the air component, which would prevent any Taiwan air forces that remained from the strike campaign. Those air forces would be either targeted on the ground, or if they're able to get up, they would be taken out in the air, so that Taiwan would have, or China would have, and the PLA would have air superiority over Taiwan, would be able to prevent U.S. air forces or Japanese air forces from getting in over Taiwan, which would allow then the final segment of the plan, which was the island invasion campaign, to come across the strait and to be able to actually not have a contested landing on beaches where there's barbed wire and tank restrictions, but they would actually be able to take maybe some of the key ports or airfields where they could actually come in with massive amounts of PLA troops that would be able to then conduct combat operations into the island. And so these phases, a cyber event, a joint fire strike, a joint anti-air raid campaign, and then the island landing campaign would be conducted in a sequential order, but a couple of those up front, the cyber and the fire strike, would be conducted almost simultaneously with the air activities. And actually, I think Chinese doctrine now is sophisticated enough that they would be able to actually do fire strikes, and when they would launch strikes, then they would have aircraft that would operate over, and then if they saw that there was still remaining targets that needed to be struck with ballistic missiles, the air forces would retreat back over the mainland, and they would relaunching missile strikes in a sequence like that. So this is exactly how they would do that. And they've been practicing each element of that over the last 2 decades. First, they've been acquiring the missile, or acquiring over 2 decades of military modernization, acquiring these materials, these ballistic missiles, these fighters, these naval vessels, these helicopters, amphibious carriers, all of this. And they've been training in a complex electromagnetic environment up and down the coast of China, from the North Sea Fleet in the Bohai, inside the East China Sea and in the South China Sea, and across the strait from Taiwan.
Okay, that's a very complicated plan. And if they have been developing this plan, would you say this is the most likely battle plan that they will launch?
Yeah, I think it's entirely likely that they will. It may sound complex, but it's pretty basic. It's neutralize your enemy's command and control with cyber warfare attacks, launch ballistic missiles to take out the key ports and airfields, establish air superiority so that your aircraft can control anything that happens in the airspace over Taiwan, and then you start the invasion. So that it would be, their plan is to make it almost impossible for Taiwan's military to be able to launch a counter attack against the invading forces that they come across. That's the strategy. Included in that is also this idea of counter intervention strategy, which is to keep the United States and other foreign militaries outside of the theater of operations. We call it A2AD in the US. It's called anti-access area denial, but it's this idea that they would also use ballistic missiles like the DF-21D or the DF-26, which can range Guam, the DF-26 and the DF-21D can range past the first island chain and be able to target U.S. Navy aircraft carriers. And you just saw this last week or so, a large exercise with 2 U.S. Navy aircraft carriers, the USS Ronald Reagan, USS Carl Vinson, the United Kingdom's Queen Elizabeth, and then a Japanese amphibious carrier, the Issei. So those missile systems, the DF-21D and the DF-26, are specifically designed to sink large, big, floating aircraft carrier type ships. So those missiles would be used as well as a counter intervention strategy to keep supporting forces from Taiwan at bay.
How powerful are those Chinese missiles? Are they able to keep the aircraft carriers out of the area so they can't function?
Well, there's been a lot of debate over these missile systems, these anti-carrier ballistic missiles, and for a long time, since the late 2000s, 2008, 9, 10, we were learning about these missile systems. And then for the next 5, 10 years, people were debating their efficacy and whether or not they were effective against targets at sea. And many critics of the missile systems pointed to the fact that China had never tested these missiles at a target at sea. That's not entirely true, but suffice it to say, last August in 2020, China shot a salvo of missiles, 2 from the DF-21D and 2 from the DF-26, we believe, at a maneuvering target in a closure area south of Hainan Island. So it was a signal to the United States and Japan and others that, yes, China's missile systems are effective and have been tested against a maneuvering target at sea. Does that mean that they're 100% accurate each and every time? No. Our ships have capabilities to deceive incoming missiles. The missiles themselves are traveling at a high rate of speed, and if you can deceive their seekers just a little bit, they will miss because it's very difficult to hit a moving ship, even a big aircraft carrier that's 1,000 feet long.
Okay, but what if they launch like hundreds of missiles? I mean, one of those will land on the aircraft carrier, right?
Well, that's the strategy that China would use. It's the old saying that quantity has a quality all of its own. So if you know that your missile system has an error rate of 10% or 15%, whatever it is, well, then you launch more missiles to ensure that you have the probability on your side that you'll have a chance to hit one of these big large deck carriers. And just hitting a carrier would have it doesn't have to sink the aircraft carrier to have what we call a mission kill. which is to effectively take the carrier out of the fight because it can't launch and recover aircraft.
Right, right. So if that's the case, and it seems like that's not very hard to do, because if they just launch bunch missiles, one of them will land on the aircraft carrier, and the carrier will be out of the fight, then what will the U.S. do?
Well, as I mentioned, the U.S. is not totally unaware of this strategy of sending a lot of missiles. And we're not unaware of the capabilities of the missiles and how they're configured and things of that nature, which I can't talk about in detail. But what I can at least say is we have the capability and the thinking that we've been working on for a long time to how do we deceive and disrupt a missile system like that, whether we deceive it through sending a false signal of what our signature of the aircraft carrier looks like maybe 5 miles away. If you were able to create a signature that said, well, it looks like the USS Ronald Reagan is not here, it's over here, that will defeat the missile system. There are other systems that we can do. We have a US Cyber Command that has the ability to do its own offensive cyber operations. So maybe you disrupt the command and control of the missile system before it's even launched. So there's a lot of things that the US military has the capability to do. But presumably, we've also considered the fact that these large deck aircraft carriers could be taken out. So what does the United States also have? Well, we have a series of other platforms. We have surface ships, which are not quite as capable, but they're becoming more capable with like the TLAM Navy, which we have there was a new missile system that's being developed. It's actually been tested already to shoot a TLAM that can go and strike Chinese ships that would also be involved with the invasion. And then we have our submarine force. And so we have a number of submarines, nuclear powered submarines that carry a variety of vertically launched cruise missiles and attack missiles that could be used to also disrupt the Chinese invasion plan.
Okay. Will America and its allies be able to defeat the PLA in a scenario like that?
That's the big question. And right now, I think the answer is more and more folks like me that have been giving warning about the PLA modernization for a couple of decades. We're very, very concerned about the gap in military capabilities between the PLA and the U.S. Indo-Pacific forces that are forward deployed into that region. And even it takes a couple of weeks for aircraft carriers to get from the west coast of the United States across the expanse of the Pacific. So I'm very concerned that the balance of power is shifting into the PRC's favor. And that is why I'm a strong advocate of building up our deterrent capability. And so we have an existential threat in many ways from the PRC. Certainly Taiwan has an existential threat from the PRC and the PLA. And so it's incumbent upon us that want to ensure freedom and democracy and liberty in this region is not overcome by the Chinese Communist Party. We need to have the force structure and military that can deter the PRC from acting. And unfortunately, to get those forces and get that force structure that would really deter China, it's going to take a lot of time beyond 2025. And this has been my worry for so long, which is when I first started giving these warnings over a decade ago, I was well aware that it would take a while for the U.S. to be able to start producing the kinds of military equipment that would deter China. We don't have those completely yet. We have some, and we're working on it. But is it enough to actually stop China in the conventional arena? And I'm not so sure it is, which leads to the other arena, which is the nuclear arena. And in that regard, the United States is still the world's leading power when it comes to nuclear weapons. And so I think there's a place in this deterrent strategy to deter the PRC from launching an invasion that would, put 23 million people at risk. That the United States needs to communicate to Beijing that not only will we fight you conventionally, but you have to worry about whether or not we will use nuclear weapons. And that sounds crazy to a lot of people, but right now we need to do that. And it's not so crazy when we consider that in just the last 6-7 months, China has already built constructed 350 new nuclear ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missile silos, out in central and western China. So China recognizes that they're behind in the nuclear arsenal race, and they are now racing towards building a nuclear arsenal that could very quickly close that gap that the United States has over China. And so we need to pay attention to that as well.
That's it for today. Thanks for watching Zoom In China Chat. Please like, share, subscribe, and donate to this program if you like my content. Our website is zoomingin.tv. I'm Simone Gao, and I'll see you next time.